This is the video news from TAC, brought to you by Archaeological Legacy Institute. Your host is Rick Pettigrew.
Hello everyone. For those of us living in the northern temperate zone, winter is closing in fast. But you'll see that in the half hour to come, we're leaving all that behind. In this installment of the video news from TAC, we're literally leaving the planet for a few minutes for one story, and then visiting a tropical place for our second story. Who would have thought that archaeology would have any relevance in outer space? But we've lived to see the day. Some of you remember the moon landings of the 60s and 70s, and others know about them from history books. Well, guess what? Those lunar landing sites now are drawing attention as historical sites worthy of protection. Specifically, now the artifacts on the surface of the moon at Tranquility Base, where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin first set foot on the moon back in July of 1969, have been listed by the state of California as an important historical resource. This is just the first step in a plan by California archaeologist Lisa Westwood to have Tranquility Base placed on the UNESCO World Heritage List as a way to protect it from disturbance by robotic probes and people that will return to the site in coming years. Now let's take a look at a news piece on the project by California Life, a syndicated show seen on TV throughout California.
Education, brought to you by the California Lottery. Remember, when you buy a lottery ticket, California schools win.
Exactly 41 years to the day after the Apollo 11 lunar landing, the NASA Authorization Act of 2010 was introduced into the House of Representatives. Its goal? To investigate, educate, and start an international discussion about the many uses of the moon. California Life's Monique Sultani heads to the state capitol and introduces us to the educators behind the bill and shows us why it's something that's never been done before.
We're here at the Discovery Museum and Challenger Learning Center in Sacramento, where industry experts are facing a new frontier in remembering and recognizing space heritage.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I'm leading an initiative to do some historic preservation of a unique type of historic property. And it's a piece of our history that a lot of people don't think of right away as being something worthy of protection. It's Tranquility Base, and it's the location on the moon where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin first stepped foot. And a lot of people remember that very important moment in our history when Neil Armstrong said, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind."
Lisa Westwood is on a one-of-a-kind mission, doing what no man or woman has done before, seeking to protect property left behind during one of America's most iconic moments.
I feel so strongly about this. This is a very unique type of historical resource. This isn't something that most people think about as being worthy of protection. Yet history is occurring all around us, and we are constantly making history, and sometimes we don't recognize that history has occurred until many years later. There will never be another first time. And so if we have an opportunity to do something now to provide some level of protection to this very important part of our history, we can preserve it now before it's too late.
California State Historic Preservation Officer Wayne Donaldson backs Lisa's quest and feels the time to preserve the past is the present.
Certainly the decommissioning of the space shuttle program is moving ahead. And that means then, what do we save that's important to humankind and how that tells the story? So the work that Lisa and her students are doing are so important that we look ahead, far ahead.
While the road ahead is rocky, Lisa knows her efforts are paving the way to space history preservation.
The biggest challenge that I face is trying to get through a federal and international preservation framework that really didn't think ahead about historical resources not located on Earth. This has never been done before. And we're prepared for the long haul here. This is not easy. Neither was it easy for the Apollo mission itself. Before they had landed on the moon in 1969, no one had ever done that before either. So someone has to take that first step.
Nothing worth doing is ever easy, but with the next generation in the driver's seat, it's full speed ahead.
It is so crucial that we integrate this type of topic into curriculum, and I've used this in my college curriculum. And in fact, the inspiration for doing something to preserve Tranquility Base on the moon actually came from my college students over the years. Trying to get students to think outside the box and think about historic preservation and historical resources in a very different way. And so it's important to build in the next generation a sense of site stewardship and instill upon them the importance of really preserving our history.
You go back through history and you see things like, what if we could preserve where Christopher Columbus first touched foot on America? It's extremely important that its exact location be preserved.
That's the most interesting part about this project, is the global aspects and the way that this isn't just an issue that the United States has to deal with, but this is also something that the whole world should think about.
Space has long since been the final frontier, and sharing that story can be more tangible than teachings out of a textbook.
Here that we're in a discovery museum, I think is cool, because that's really the neat thing, is when you discover something that makes it so exciting. Your eyes light up because it's a tangible thing that you touch and you see when you come back from it.
The Tranquility Base was our first step off of this planet, and it will show the future generations it can be done. Most kids get their inspiration from what somebody did before them, and it drives them to move forward.
America took that giant leap once. Now Lisa's hoping we'll take it again. If the next generation continues to shoot for the stars, sky's the limit for space preservation. Bringing you the best of California, from Sacramento, I'm Monique Saltani for California Life.